Hello and welcome to Are We There Yet? MarketScale's online video podcast series that explores the most exciting projects, technologies, and companies in transportation and related industries. My name is Grant Harrell, and as your host, I'll speak with the voices of today's most exciting organizations, learning truly what's at the cutting edge of transportation technologies today. I'm very excited today to learn a little bit more about how transportation is affecting the built environment, and was really intrigued with our guest and company today through a great piece within D Magazine. The firm, Evan Beattie's firm, GFF Architects, is really a leading architectural design firm. Very proud that they're based here in Texas as well, with offices throughout the state. Truly a distinguished award-winning firm, founded in 1982. Numerous awards, over 100, I believe, to date that the firm has received, and for no reason other than the great work and their devotion to each and every one of their clients. Awards of mention include being ranked the #1 business design firm in the country, listed oftentimes within the top 100, top 500 design firms throughout the country. One of the top green design firms, as I understand, as well. Just an amazing culture, amazing capabilities. So really excited to dive a little bit more into that today. Really excited to learn more about the firm and some of their work and relationship between their work in transportation. Is Evan Beattie, the Chief Executive Officer and Chairman of GFF Architects. Just an amazing career and accomplishments for himself. A graduate of the University of Texas, Austin. So we're very proud of his service there. Also has enjoyed affiliation with some of the leading firms throughout the world, and over 17 years now, as I understand, with GFF. So Evan, thank you so much for your time today, and welcome to Are We There Yet?
Great. Thanks for that warm introduction, Grant.
Yes.
For having me. I'm excited to be here and looking forward to the conversation.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm really excited. Really been looking forward to it, especially the last few days. And, I'm often interviewing transportation companies and executives. The Are We There Yet theme, very much focused on cutting edge technologies within transportation and related industries. And so was really intrigued with you and your firm by the piece in D Magazine, where you provided some future insights and forecasts into kind of how transportation is merging into the built environment, and how not only architectural firms, but engineering firms, construction firms, are really kind of starting to anticipate, some of these evolutions that we're seeing within transportation, kind of how that's affecting the built environment. So was really intrigued with that piece, and reason why I'm so excited to have the chance to interview you within the series. And so, kind of fitting, within that theme of Are We There Yet? We always like to ask, are we there yet? Are we moving there in terms of kind of technologies and projects? But, would love to learn a little bit more about some of kind of those future forecasts that you have related to transportation and how that affects some of your firm's work. And I think overall, I might just start with the question, are we there yet in terms of kind of, your perspective in the built environment and kind of being ready, for some of those newer technologies within transportation? So would love to get some of your insights there, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Great question.
Yeah.
Are we there yet?
Yes.
I think we're on the cusp of a period of rapid change in how our cities are built.
Yeah.
As we look at human history, pre the car, streets were narrower, and pedestrian scale was something that was inherent in how cities were built. When you travel around older cities in Europe, there's a scale and a walkability that's very much based on the pedestrian, the human being, and we lost track of that a bit when we became automobile centric. The cities in Texas are young cities from a history perspective. An old building in Dallas is a 1920s vintage building.
Right.
An old building in Europe is a 1500 or 1600 vintage building. So that means that there's some fundamental differences in how our cities were planned, and where we're at now in downtown Dallas. It was planned for a flood of cars to come in the morning and a flood of cars to go out at the end of the day, and that resulted in one-way roads and a lot of right-of-way to handle that surge in demand and vehicles coming in and out. As we think about disruptions that are coming in technology related to the automobile industry, I see that the autonomous vehicle movement is really going to lower the need for everybody in America to have a car. That's my hope. I think that would be good for our environment. I think that would be good for quality of life issues and accessibility to transportation. And as that happens, it's really going to change the built environment. When we look out the windows of your office, as we did a few minutes ago, and see just acres and acres of surface parking lots that are generating revenue for the landowners by charging for people to park by the hour or by the day and generating a profit for that landowner, there's a disincentive for that landowner to do anything else with that land other than have it serve as a surface parking lot.
True.
That revenue will fall when the autonomous vehicle comes around and the car doesn't need to park. You're able to utilize a car to drive you into work, and the car goes back and parks in your own garage, or it drops your wife off next and then the kids, and then it goes somewhere to recharge and it comes and picks you up at the end of the day. Our need for so much parking will be greatly reduced, and that's going to dramatically change how our cities are built and how efficiently we can use our land.
Sure.
There's a great author, Donald Shoup, who's written around about the high cost of free parking. If anybody hasn't read that book, I really recommend it. And he theorizes that there's 5 parking spaces for every car in America.
Wow.
And so think about how much land that takes up. If we could get down to having 2 parking spaces for every car in America, that would really free up a lot of land.
That would, very much so. That's fascinating. Well, and it's all, I love your take on it. It's all very positive. It's very optimistic. These are all good things, I think, in terms of, some of the opportunities on the built environment and transportation. So, I certainly love that. You've kind of, shared some insights and alluded a little bit into kind of some of those forecasts. And I was really intrigued, as you said, the household needs, for, 2, 3, 4 cars is going to dramatically change. That's going to do things like, freeing up, garage space, for example, as you mentioned, present some opportunities there. The storage industry is probably going to have to make some adjustments, as individuals kind of free up some space in the garage and, use that for different things. So I was so intrigued by some of your insights. Would you mind sharing, and you've shared a couple already, but, just some of those kind of specific future forecasts that you see, really maybe offering some opportunities, in your space and others within the built environment?
Well, our firm's really focused on urban infill development, looking at very dense and small sites. And when we find solutions to build on them, it generally revolves right now around planning for the automobile. How long of a ramp do we need to move an automobile above the ground or below the ground? And how much of the ground plane can we activate, and how tall can we go, or big factors that go into planning early in built projects. As the reliance on the automobile goes down and the need for parking garages goes down, it frees up, again, a lot of space, and it lowers the cost of projects. This office building we're in now, there's about an equal ratio of area of parking spaces and driveways to access those parking spaces as there is to office space. If you don't have to build twice as much building to be able to house the cars, your costs go down meaningfully, and you can build a nicer project. And so we're starting to talk to developers about how we can plan for converting some levels of parking within buildings to other uses. If in an apartment building, if we need half as much parking in a decade, can we remove the ramps and infill units where there are spaces today? We haven't reached a point where there's been a cost benefit to doing it most of the time, but it's a conversation we're increasingly having. And I think in a lot of places, we're going to see parking utilization go down, and we're going to start to see people really getting serious about reusing parking structures for other things. And again, those parking lot owners, those people that own for-profit parking lots that are just sitting on the ground, you're going to start to see them lose revenue and become sellers. And the fact that those garages right now in downtown Dallas are producing enough revenue to generate income and offset the taxes, there's no reason for them to sell, but I think those days are numbered. We've worked on a number of shopping mall redevelopments, and you kind of think about, what are some of the biggest built projects we have in our country that have giant parking lots? And shopping malls have been so disrupted in the last 5 years by Amazon and changing habits and the way people shop, which has accelerated through the pandemic. They have giant empty parking lots that everybody wants to see become something else now. And it's complicated to do those. There's cross-access easements and multiple owners that kind of share how you circulate around a mall. But we're seeing it happening. We're seeing residential density added to different malls around the country that are past their functional lifespan. And we're going to continue to see that accelerate in the coming years. Great to hear. Can't wait to see how all of that unfolds. So that's exciting. I always love, are we there yet? Cutting edge technologies, where are things going 5, 10, 15 years from now, in some of the industries and companies that I talk with. So I'm always really curious, to get some insights, into the future.
you've shared some today, and kind of how transportation and mobility is affecting, some of your work and the industry, I think, in a very positive way. But would love to learn, in addition to that, when we kind of talk about the future and what the next 5, 10, 15 years looks like within your industry, would love to get some of your thoughts related to that. You and I were talking a little bit before the interview, do a lot of work with organizations within the space economy, and there's a lot happening there right now. I would imagine maybe some, opportunities for architecture and design, of course, there. But, if you don't mind, would love to get some of your insights, 5, 10, 15 years from that with your practice, your company, and the industry. Where do you see things kind of, moving in the direction of the future?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Space, what Elon Musk is doing with SpaceX and commercializing space travel, it's really cool.
Yes.
In the design world that we live in, architecture, interior design, landscape, and planning are the four main types of design we do at GFF.
Yep.
Gravity is just so fundamental in what we do. We're designing for gravity.
Yes.
We're thinking about human scale and how people interact. And, I can't really wrap my brain around what it would be like to live in space with no gravity.
Yes.
So, I don't know that our industry is going to move that much towards being space focused.
Sure.
I think there's a lot of needs here on Earth that we have to deal with and can improve. Sure. And hopefully we're not going to need to all move into outer space anytime soon. So
hopefully not.
We're really focused on trying to be on the cutting edge of quality placemaking and quality living experiences. Our firm's really grown our work on the residential side through the pandemic. The disruptions that came in the pandemic really impacted the way we all office.
Sure.
I don't know how if your team stayed here in the office the whole time or went remote to doing Zooms.
Yep.
We were remote for over a year, and we're excited to be back in the office now. But we're doing a blend of in the office work and at home work.
Nice.
And that's worked well for us. But we're really focused on, because demand has remained there. People need a place to live, even when there's a pandemic. Really great residential design.
Okay.
And we're excited about Texas and the growth we've experienced through the pandemic. There's a lot of people that want to be here. Yep. And we're seeing a lot of demand for urban living experiences where you can walk to a grocery store, walk to great dining, have access to great shopping in your backyard, and people are really gravitating to that. And I think there's a real desire to connect with the community and have that really strong sense of friends close by, knowing that you're going to remain connected even if we did have to lock down again.
Sure.
So we're really excited about how Texas is urbanizing,
and
the markets we're in are urbanizing, and our design practice is really focused on just that, great placemaking in an urban context. Yeah. But I think with autonomous vehicles and access to transportation, we may see a trend line away from urbanity at some point. Right now, there's a natural I think barrier to wanting to have an hour-long commute.
Sure.
If you're going to fight traffic for an hour, because we've got car accidents on the rise because of distracted driving, and it's just not fun to sit in a car that long, and you have to be focused on the road the whole time, or you risk getting in an accident when you check your phone.
Sure.
Once we go to having autonomous vehicles and freeways become potentially much more efficient, are people going to want to drive an hour in the car and work their laptop and work the phone and not mind that commute to have space?
Yeah, good point.
And there might be some further bifurcation we see that's not made possible right now because commute times are a natural barrier.
Yes.
Somebody might not mind being in the car an hour each way when they don't have to drive.
Sure.
And they want the space. And we might see some more flood to the exurbs, beyond suburban living, exurban living.
Right.
While we still have, people that really want to have urban living. There's just going to be more choices that come.
Yeah, interesting.
And I think there'll also be more equity in transportation. Right now in Dallas, Interstate 30 is, there's some pretty different economic outcomes for people that and access that come for people that live north of 30 and south of 30 in Dallas. And if we can take the cost of on-demand transportation and cut it in half by not having a driver in the car, that is going to be hugely beneficial to some of the people in our community that transportation costs are a huge percentage of their income. And I think that there's a social justice and equity piece to this that would be great. And I think Patrick Kennedy with the Dallas dartboard is doing great things to improve and be a thought leader on how we can improve the bus experience for our residents. But, if it takes you an hour to get from point A to point B, but it's only 10 miles, if we can move away from a bus-based system and move to an on-demand transit system that's fueled by ride sharing,
Sure.
that would just be huge.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I love it. I think that there's a lot of opportunities there, and I think you hinted to really, I think, some of the results of a lot of that, and that's really interesting to hear about. And I think, as you said, even kind of a trend towards the urban lifestyle now, and something maybe that could go the opposite direction through the autonomous vehicles. I think that's really fascinating to think about, and to think about that kind of being usable time now, within an hour or even hour plus long commute, to kind of have that as usable time now is really fascinating. So maybe we're checking out some podcasts and things on a personal level, but at the same time too, maybe that's part of our work time, because you have that capability now in autonomous vehicles. So that's really interesting to learn about.
You see the trains in the Northeast function that way. I mean, people aren't that worried about an hour-long train ride from New York to Connecticut or somewhere like that, because it's functional time. You pop out your laptop, and if you're in a self-driven car, you're in an autonomous vehicle, I should say. You kind of get that time back.
You do. Gosh, I could see us doing a podcast from the back seat, or a Zoom call, or whatever's necessary, right? So that's cool. Wow. So talking about the future, and especially, even more importantly, talking about some of the principles of your firm, as I shared, have been recognized as one of the leading green firms in the United States. And I know that the sustainability is really just a foundation of the work that you do. So would love to learn a little bit, more about your firm's focus on sustainability, and why that's important, especially today.
Well, as designers, we really have an opportunity to have a meaningful impact on the environment. I think the buildings of our country and the world use about 30% of our energy. And so there's a real responsibility to do our best to improve the energy usage we have within our buildings. And we can do that through good design. Solar orientation is really important in buildings. We want to light our buildings naturally, but not bring in so much light that we cook the occupants. And so how we manage the sun and light is fundamental in how we design. We really want to get people outside, and when we're in the month of July and August in Texas, you're not going to be outside unless there's great shade, and we're planning for wind movement within spaces. But if a space is really well designed, you can go out in the evening hours in Texas, and you can go out in the morning and enjoy it. And so a lot of the design we're doing now on the corporate office side is built around how can we get people out of their desks and create great spaces where they can work outside. And certainly 3 seasons out of the year that's possible, and you can do it during certain hours of the day during the summer. It's ingrained in our culture. We've had the offices off or the lights off in our office this week. So there's been ERCOT warnings about brownouts, and we've got to do our part at a corporate level. Walk the walk and talk the talk within our walls. And we really want to spread that out to the projects we do, and work with our clients, and work with clients that share those same goals, that really want to help create a better tomorrow.
That's awesome. I love to hear that. And taking that responsibility, I think, is really inspiring. Another thing that I was really excited to learn about your firm is just the incredible culture you have, and talent within your firm. I understand. I think I saw the neighborhood of about 140 employees. I know over 100 architects for the firm. Just an incredible team. And I know that culture is important. And I thought it was really cool. Seeing some of the outings that you host for the firm and for your team members, and even have enjoyed some of the playlists that you've shared online as well. So you've got just a really cool culture, but would love to learn a little bit more about the culture and how you've kind of nurtured that into what an exciting group that you have today.
Well, we're just so lucky to have a fun-loving team that enjoys being together and working together, and our culture's just totally a byproduct of our team. A great authentic culture is going to be created by the team itself,
for sure.
And so you mentioned we were founded in 1982. This is our 40th anniversary as a firm. We've recently rolled fully into our second generation of owners, and as far as architecture firms go, we have a relatively young group of owners. I'm joined by 7 partners as owners in the company, and we just have so much fun doing what we do. It's rewarding to come into work every day, work with fun people, creating great spaces, and the creative industry is being in a creative industry where we actually get to contribute to the built environment around us, and our projects are in the neighborhoods where we live and in the neighborhood where we work. It's really rewarding.
I would imagine. That's great to hear. Well, I know that's a big part of all of the success of the organization. So just really incredible team that you have there. Would love to learn. You've talked about a lot of exciting projects and industries and kind of some of the foundations of your firm. And I know it's probably hard to pick one, but would love to learn about maybe something that you're most excited about today within your work with GFF.
Well, we've got a project that's just breaking ground across from our office now. That's a 399-foot tall office tower for Granite Property Company.
Yeah.
And when we have one starting like that's just right across the street from where we work, that our interns and our entire team's going to get to see come out of the ground. That's really rewarding and fun.
Nice.
We're a firm that loves practicing local. Some of our competitors have, thousands of employees spread around the country and internationally, and are working in every time zone in the world, and the work kind of never stops.
Right.
And we just love practicing where we live. I know my wife at times can be annoyed as we drive around Dallas and I point out, oh, we're working on this. And, oh, that's a GFF building and we're doing that.
Nice.
But it's so much fun to be a part of building the city we live in.
Yes.
And, I'm really excited about the direction Dallas is going in. Nice. When I moved here in 2003, it was such a different city. Yeah. Since that time, we've invested heavily in urban infrastructure and the livability of our city through the Katy Trail, Clyde Warren Park, the urban loop circuit connectors we're creating now, connecting our trail network. The Trinity River project is going to be huge for our city. For sure. We've got to get that done in the coming decade. And there's a real movement towards reclaiming some of our road infrastructure for people now, road diets, narrowing streets, abandoning streets, creating more spaces for people. When you travel up to Manhattan now post-pandemic, you see how far they've gone and allowing restaurant patios to go into the streets. And we just got this great opportunity here to reclaim spaces for people in the urban core of our city. And the reality is, Frisco and Plano, while they're doing great things up there, they're never going to be able to compete with downtown Dallas or uptown Dallas because they don't have some of the same spatial constraints we have. And really making the urban core of our city great is going to be a competitive advantage for Dallas in the coming decades that I'm really excited about.
Oh yeah, very exciting. Yeah, we very much a city, and it's awesome to be a part of kind of that change and kind of being a part of kind of writing that next chapter for Dallas. So I think that's a really cool opportunity, and I know you're really involved in that. I know that you're so passionate about what you do as well, and I know that goes back, of course, within your studies of architecture at the University of Texas Austin. But I know that for you, it goes back much earlier than that. Even before high school. I understand middle school, I think, is where kind of your passion for architecture originated. So it's always fascinating for me to learn about successful individuals such as yourself. Really kind of where your passion started and kind of what your path to your leadership within the firm today. Would you mind telling audience members a little bit more about kind of your passion about architecture?
Sure, I'd be glad to do that.
Thank you.
I was lucky to take a life skills class in middle school. Okay. Where the school assigned each of us a partner. Yeah. And we had to look at and research careers as a partnership. Yes. And say, okay, husband and wife, what do you want to do? Does the wife want to work or stay home? Yeah. And look at the average incomes that these different people in different careers made, and make a choice about a budget. And in researching those careers, I kind of looked at architecture and what an architect would do, and said, that's really what I think I want to do. Nice. And never really wavered from that path after middle school. I took drafting for 4 years in high school, and was very lucky to get into the University of Texas as an out-of-state student from Florida. And came to Austin and had some great teachers and mentors in Austin that helped grow the love for the design in me. Yes. And I have a real passion for urban design in particular. And I think I'm very lucky that I chose to come to Dallas when I graduated from UT in 2003 and have been here since, and have had some great mentors in the design profession since then that have helped keep me on a growing path. And one of the great things about architecture is you really never stop learning in this career. Technology is changing around us at a more rapid pace than ever, and that's certainly keeping the learning curve steep. But there's so many different types of projects and different ways of doing things that are right and good and things to test. That it's just every day is interesting. Come into work every day excited for new challenges and new opportunities.
That's cool. That's really inspiring to hear that you kind of developed that passion early on, but then just stayed on that path to develop into the career that you have today is really cool. So really inspiring to hear hear that. I know that as a result, of today's podcast interview, there's going to be a lot of individuals, a lot of firms out there that are going to be excited, about learning more about GFF and, looking into partnership opportunities within the organization. This will be featured, of course, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, marketscale.com, the business-to-business platform. So I know, going to get a lot of great exposure, and there's going to be a lot of interest, I think, as a result of the interview. Do you mind sharing with audience members, how best to learn more about GFF and exploring opportunities to work with you?
Sure. Yeah, we'd love for anybody who's watching to check out our website. Go to gff.com to learn more about our company. Most of our clients are real estate developers, institutions like higher education, K through 12 schools, churches, and then we do a good amount of work on the corporate side for Fortune 500 companies and build-to-suit projects for retailers and office projects. So those are the main work we're engaged in, and we're really passionate about bringing innovative solutions to the table to solve complex problems that involve buildings, and we're big believers that great design can unlock incredible value. Having a great workplace can cause your employees to really want to come back and be more efficient when they're in it. And workplace design is something we're really passionate about. We love just designing for people. There's such a great opportunity to think carefully about how people are going to occupy spaces and change outcomes for people, create uplifting spaces, and that's an energy that we bring to all of our projects. That we'd love to work with anybody out there that wants to have that from their designers.
Well, very good. Well, thank you so much. Well, really do appreciate your time today, and just want to compliment you again on the leadership of your firm and just the great work that you're doing, and I know continue to do in the future. So really appreciate you taking the time to stop by Market Scale today, and wish you and the firm continued success. So thank you, Evan.
Great. Thank you for having me, Grant. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Very welcome. Well, thank you. Well, thank you as well. So that concludes a very exciting interview with Evan and GFF Architects, and another episode of Are We There Yet? So thank you, and we'll see you next time. So, all right. Thanks.